Shalom, friends. It's Rabbi Jenny Solomon here at Beth Myers Synagogue after a bit of a break. So I'm happy to be here in my office, in my synagogue home, and to share some words of Torah with you in the form of a mincha moment. So this week, we are reading in the Torah, the parasha, it's actually a double portion, Matot-Masei, really describing the continuation of the journey of our people ever closer to the promised land. And we are also preparing for the day of deep mourning and sadness associated with Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Av. And so as we move ever closer, this Shabbat will actually be Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month of Av, to Tisha B'Av. I wanted to share some words of Torah, perhaps connecting both the Torah portion and this moment in the Jewish year. So in this week's Torah portion, there is a small section which describes the Nazir. The Nazir was somebody who would take a particular set of vows to abstain from any number of things, from cutting their hair, from drinking wine, all kinds of physical pleasures, among other things. Now, for anybody who knows anything about Judaism, you will know that this is actually not really the Jewish way. Judaism is not a spiritual practice of abstaining. On the whole, there are some things we abstain from, but in general, Judaism is an embodied religious practice in which all kinds of physical experiences and certainly pleasure are not only acceptable, but are welcomed, are really portals for experiencing the goodness of being alive, the goodness of being human, of this beautiful world that God has given us. And in fact, we're actually commanded to, within limits, enjoy the pleasures of life. And so I just want to say a couple things about this. The Nazir is really something that we learn about from this ancient part of our text, but is not practiced in any normative way any longer. And I think part of that is because as a religious tradition, we've really been very clear that while pleasure is certainly part of life, it's not the point of life, but neither should we reject it. So really the key is enjoying the gifts of life, enjoying the pleasures of this existence, and the short time we have on this planet, at least in this form, and doing so in moderation. I'm a big believer that good religion should be a force for moderation and also mindfulness. So when we say blessings, whether they are blessings for food or wine or for going to the bathroom or for seeing something beautiful or for smelling something sweet, among others, what we're doing is bringing ourselves into the present moment and holding this physical sensory experience with gratitude, with awe and reverence and appreciation. And finally, I just want to add, as we look ahead to Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, and this really sad day, a day in which we commemorate not only the destruction of the first and the second temples, but of so many other tragedies in Jewish history, that sometimes we actually do move into, our tradition calls us into a more extreme practice, and in particular, a practice of abstention. I'm thinking about fasting on the 9th of Av, of course, fasting on Yom Kippur. And we fast for a very particular reason, to bring our full attention and our awareness to the spiritual tasks of those days. There are others too, but those are two of the main ones. And so I just want to say that, sometimes there are good reasons to let go of physical pleasure and physical pleasantness and joy for a very particular, meaningful spiritual purpose. And we don't hold that stance, that orientation for long. As any of you know, at the end of Tisha B'Av, we enter a period of nechama, of comfort. And so we come back after that 25-hour period. We come back into comforting one another, to experiencing our physicality. So too at the end of Yom Kippur. Most people break the fast with friends and family and enjoy your pleasures of choice. Mine is usually salty Jewish fish. So, just to wrap up, this beautiful life that we have offers us so many pleasures and gifts. And in fact, there's a Talmudic text that says that we'll be held accountable in the world to come when we die for the things that we didn't enjoy that we could have. But we do so with moderation. We do so with mindfulness. And sometimes, just sometimes, we really step away from those things so that we can focus deeply on something else that matters, but always coming back into our bodies and into the fullness of our lives. All right, friends, wishing you peace. Shalom.